Dan, it's so lovely to have you with us. Can you just start by telling us a little bit about Convergence Partners?
So Convergence Partners is VC firm we set up in 2018 to focus on health tech across Europe, and here again on sectors with large unmet needs. And we've identified two key sectors of investment. One is brain and mental health, so both neurology and psychiatry. The other one is women's health, because we feel that they're underfunded. There's huge investment opportunities, a lot of new startups coming to the market, and I think for investors this could be really, really interesting, and not just in terms of financial returns, but obviously also creating a big social benefit.
And focusing specifically on brain and mental health, what are some of the areas within that you feel are highly investable now? And perhaps even give us some examples of investments that you've made where companies are really being hugely successful and are achieving large growth.
Yeah. So in our experience, really having a holistic approach to mental health care, so really using different modalities in a personalized manner, is the most effective approach, right? And as an example, we invested in a company called Neurocare, which is a German Munich-based startup. We were an early investor. So they're manufacturing certain hardware devices, especially TMS and neurofeedback.
Just explain TMS.
Transcranial magnetic stimulation. So this is a technology that has been around for probably 20 years, but only now really starting to take off. Because the price levels used to be too high, but I think now there's an enormous adoption. And if you combine TMS with talk therapy, it significantly enhances the effectiveness in terms of remission and response rates of the patients. And we're just seeing so many new modalities also come into the market that can significantly enhance, really curing people, right? Not just suppressing them with medication, right? In this one kind of one-size-fits-all approach that we've had until now, but really curing patients, right? And we are particularly excited about new modalities, like psychedelics that are coming to the market. We feel this will be a game changer, a paradigm shift in mental health care, but it will take a while, obviously, for this to be fully legalized and approved in the market. I mean, we see that the first drug developers now going with the regulatory process. But what we are particularly excited about right now is an area we call technodelics, where you basically use technology, so a combination of sounds, haptics, frequencies, to get users or patients in a psychedelic-like transpersonal state, not a complete psychedelic trip and dissolution of your ego, but really the ability to deal with trauma, for example, right, and get you in a deeply meditative state. And we're seeing some enormously interesting technology companies. In fact, we're investing in one as we speak.
So for something like technodelics, as a fund, what would your expectations be? Sort of return, timelines? Give us a sense of the trajectory for something like technodelics. I appreciate it's a broad field.
Yeah.
Give us a sense.
So I think just giving you the example of the company we're investing in right now. So they're targeting actually the wellness space first, right, rather than medical applications. So what they've developed is a brain massage pod that combines basically special frequencies, like you might have heard of binaural beats or monaural beats, or also like isochronic tones. With haptics, and really get you into either a deeply relaxed state, get you in a sleepy state, or also like highly concentrated flow state, and this only within 30 minutes, right? And we are seeing an enormous interest from high-end wellness groups, to adopt this technology. So you go to the gym, not just to train your body, but actually train your brain as well and massage your brain. And in fact, this particular company is now talking to the biggest hotel group in Europe to roll this out in all of their wellness centers around the world, right? So I think there's a huge wellness trend starting, and so these guys, for example, they license out their core technology, which is obviously makes it highly scalable. So this is a business that could go into hundreds of millions of revenues within 5 years, basically. Right?
And so for that one, the business model is B2B.
It's B2B, yes.
And what are you seeing for some of the other things that you think are investable now? It's sometimes within mental health, undisputed the need and the demand, but sometimes questioning who's going to pay for it. Again, yes. What are you seeing from the investments that you make?
So I think just in terms of reimbursement, right? So we're seeing more and more willingness of authorities to reimburse TMS, treatments. we're seeing an enormous amount of innovation, coming, in the TMS space. Obviously moving from the, kind of large stationary, setups to more portable devices, for like home use as well. So I think this is definitely an interesting area to invest in. And then also, like neurofeedback technology, right? I mean, for example, for children curing ADHD, right? I think there's a lot of innovation, coming to the market. But again, it's always these kind of single point solutions. You always have to see how they can be embedded, like in a more holistic treatment, like like protocol, basically, right? And because it's so difficult to scale these companies in Europe alone, we have a very strong focus on taking them to large healthcare markets, usually starting with the US, but also taking them to China. In fact, I just came back from a travel, like 1 week, roadshow with 6 startups through China, where we met potential co-investors, and also potential customers with huge interest in European technology. So if you can actually open up these large markets to European startups early, you can scale them in a much better fashion, right? And even in countries like China, mental health like on the top of the agenda now, right?
Can you perhaps just talk us through an example of something that you have seen go from startups through to scale and coming out of the other end into larger fundraising?
Yeah, so one example is really Neurocare. So they started out as a medical device manufacturer, and then really started developing a digital therapeutics platform, own protocols. They opened their own clinics. So they actually now operate nearly 30 clinics around the world, from Australia to Europe to Middle East to US. US is currently, growing the fastest. And offering truly, personalized mental health care. And like this quarter, actually, they overtook their closest competitor first time in terms of revenue. So they're targeting 50 million in revenues this year. We raised some big money. So we had like some big investors coming in, like TVM Capital, like one of the biggest health VCs in. And the company is really on track to be listed on the Nasdaq, over the next years, right? But again, the key metric of success is really response and remission rates, right? And they have data that can prove that the combination of their modalities nearly doubles the probability of success for treatment of mental health patients, right? And I think if you can prove that, it's obviously a really strong sell to investors.
Last question, for somebody who's looking to come into mental health investing, is there something that you have particularly learned, a question that you have started to ask, or a particular resource that you found really helpful? So your kind of top tip, I would guess, for someone coming into this new.
Coming to the real conferences, of course. Becoming part of the Kokoro ecosystem, and also following our work, right? So we are actually also organizing a mental health day in Davos, for the World Economic Forum again in 26. Just educate yourself, get in touch with us if you would like to.
Amazing, Dan. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.